How's it going, everybody? Nick Daniels here yet again, bringing you folks another video. We're doing a little evening rant session here, so I'm going to be walking for, I don't know, probably like 40 minutes. Yeah, no, I figured it's only 6 o'clock, got some time, and you're going to laugh at this one, but before we get into the topic of today, I actually have all my topics written down. So, I have a big problem when I come out here. I just start brain farting, and I don't remember exactly. Like, I have like this fucking gold topic, right? I'm like, dude, that would be sick to talk about, right? I get out here, 3 minutes later, it's just gone, right? So I've got them down, and yes, don't worry, I didn't forget the first one. I want to talk to you today about having a positive attitude, okay? So you're gonna be thinking that's kind of funny. You're like, okay, it's gonna be kind of lame. Listen, okay? I used to work at Sobeys for 6 years, as you may or may not know from watching my channel. And I'm telling you right now, I know the embodiment of not having a positive attitude. I started out very positive in that location. And this isn't like a Sobeys video, this is just a setup to the topic. But, or my own experience, I should say. So yeah, like I said, I started out super positive individual. I find I'm usually pretty positive, actually. People like that about me. It's a good thing. Keep that in mind, they like that. Some people will hate you, by the way, too, because you're too fucking positive, but that's, yeah, we'll get to that too. But yeah, like I said, I show up first day of work, I'm stoked, having a good time. First year goes by, I'm still having a good time, right? Like literally nothing has like dissuaded me. Like I am all in, okay? I'm full send, I think it's called. Anyway, so yeah, like I'm loving it. 2 years in, still having a good time. Things start to go shitty, okay? Next 4 years is just shit. Right? I show up every day. I am at the point now that I just find this place absolutely atrocious. There is not another word for it. Atrocious is really the only thing that comes to mind. And I am at that point where I am just so sick of this place that I have this shitty attitude now. Okay? What do you think's the first thing that people notice? Okay? They notice that. Right? They look for that, dude. You walk in and you don't say good morning to somebody that you've been working with for a couple of years, there's a problem. They're like literally calling your house, and they're like calling your parents or something, right? Not obviously in my case, but you know, whoever's. And you know what I actually did? I actually did get approached, and people were telling me I've changed, right? I'm different. Okay? So what happens when that shit happens, okay? Well, let me tell you a couple things here. This is from experiences in the past, current experiences, and probably experiences from other people as well that I've observed. Another example, before we answer that question, is there's a gentleman who works in the same company that I work for, but in a different area of that company, okay? And we're kind of in the same situation right now. Luckily for me, I quit, or unluckily due to financial burden, but I left, right? And I resigned, put my 2 weeks in, see you later, and I'm gone. And I have told this other individual that I said that I just mentioned works in the other area, but in the same industry, or the same company, sorry, and he's in that same scenario. He's having such a hard time. Like, he just puts his head down, comes to work and goes. People are bugging him, people are snapping at him because he's not talking, right? And he's just pissed off. And he's like, dude, it's affecting me everywhere. He's like, every time I go somewhere, and this is what I was talking about, one of these questions, right? How does that affect you, right? And he says it everywhere, like everything he does. He's like, he's just so stressed out. I guess at one point he was having, I'm getting stared at. That's funny. But I guess he was like having trouble sleeping, and keep staring there, lady. Yep, keep staring. Yeah, and he's like having trouble sleeping, you know, and it's noticeable, right, when you're hanging around with people, because you'll notice what they'll start doing is they'll just start talking about that all the time, right? And this is like it's like a never-ending conversation. And I told him this. I was like, dude, like, you gotta understand, it's like, I'm coming from your perspective. Like I said, if there's anybody in the world right now that's getting where you're at, it's me, because we were in the same company, right, facing the same problems, and we're dealing with it with the same way, right? The only difference is I just got out, right? I made that call. I said, you know, this isn't good for me, like spiritually, like for my body, so physically, basically there was really no good reason for me to stay where I was at. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you get in these situations. Oh, fuck, I was gonna hit the trail right over there. Fuck 'em. Nobody's out driving, so fuck 'em. Only problem is just saying there was a woman standing by her car. She watched me the whole way down the road, just stared at me. It's like, it's awkward. But yeah, like it's such a huge problem. And I don't get how people like don't weigh that out. Like, you need to put yourself first in any given situation. So the current situation I'm in now is, as if you saw my NSCC video, is yes, now I'm in community college, but I'm having such a hard time. They're not listening. They're kind of blaming us, if anything. They're saying it's our fault. Then you got other teachers who are like, you're not complaining. Well, we are complaining, but we're doing it in a professional manner, but we're getting rejected, we're getting ignored, and, you know, and then I'm getting stressed. Now, there's two situations where I feel like I'm both validated to be stressed. The first one is a work site where I'm trying to do things by the book, and I'm getting shit on because it's interfering with someone else's process. I'm sorry, right? But food, like, that's where I was working, was with food, raw product, raw meat. And I'm telling you, there is a time limit that it can be out in a certain temperature. It could be at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, and you can't go above or beyond that, right? And then you start risking people's health. And, well, I would try to cool it off, and there was problems, right? Okay, like, you know, and that started stressing me out, because it's like, now people are giving me such a hard time. Apparently I was stressing them out. It's like, dude, like, I'm literally just going by what the book says, right? Like, this is literally like food safety handling 101. The second one is I paid $8,000, or I technically loaned out like 16 grand or whatever the fuck it was, right? I got a lot of money invested on this. I don't even have a job right now. Like, I'm unemployed, right? And, you know, my money runs out eventually. So kind of what I'm saying there is like the same idea that, you know, you have to weigh it that way, that, yeah, there's a reason I can be stressed. And it's not always stress, like in one of those situations. It can be financial stress, you know, relationship stress. You know, that's big, right? Maybe you say the wrong thing, they say the wrong thing, someone's kind of off put, and it bugs you, right? But basically, in my opinion, you're not doing yourself any good. So kind of keeping this positive attitude, this is the whole point of the rant video here, or the topic, or whatever you want to call it. Kind of keeping that positive attitude. I feel like people like that, like they kind of gravitate towards that, right? I walked into physio, people like 8 o'clock in the morning, and to me 8 o'clock's really not that early. It is early, but it's not like, oh my fuck, right, it's 8. I mean, like 6, 5 would be really early to me. 6 would be early, like that's like, fuck me, but I would do it. 7's like, actually that's kind of doable. Like, you know, and 8's like, yeah, fuck, that's nothing. 9 is easy. So just saying, 8 o'clock, not that bad. But either way, I show up at 8 o'clock, physio. There's like a girl working, like the receptionist, and I'm like, she's like, yeah, sorry, it's just gonna be a couple minutes, right? Not a problem, right? Take your time, right? And I'm smiling, I'm having a good time, right? And they commented on it, I swear to God to you, multiple times, that I'm just way too positive, right? And that's what I'm saying. Some people don't like it. They're like, fuck, man, right? Like, he's too fucking happy, right? There's a problem there. And then other people are like, you know what? That's kind of like, it's almost like infectious, right? Like, you want to be around it, right? You're like, damn, like that's someone I want to surround myself around, right? Because I'm gonna get that positive energy. And it's funny, but I used to hang around this group of friends a couple years ago, and I noticed something after. It's funny, like, the way to describe it in my experience is you kind of have to take a step back, right? And you have to look at the situation like outside, if you know what I mean. Like, you can't be like, in that example, I can't be with that group of friends and like literally just stand there while I'm talking to them and be like, ah, fuck, these guys are too negative, right? That's not always how it's gonna work. Some people probably can pull that off, but you kind of have to, like I said, like step back, like break away from them and be like, and then just look, observe, right, for a couple minutes. And what I did is I got an inkling. I was like, dude, like, this is probably not really for me. And I think also why I hung out with these people, for example, was what happened was I needed to be included, right? I didn't have that many people I'm hanging out with, and I didn't want to tell them no, because they kind of accepted me, right? They want to hang out, they want to do things, right? And you know what? They might be dweebs, but it's like, you know what? Let's chill with them. But then eventually, you know, kind of things kind of went their natural way. The group kind of disbanded a little bit. I think some of them, obviously the remnants there, so they still hang out. But I noticed that they're just a very negative group. You know, there's a fair amount of negativity there. And that's infectious. because you know, a positive attitude and a negative attitude, I think they go hand in hand. Like you need to counterbalance one or the other, but I don't think at the same time you can't say one's infectious and one's not. Like, you start to hang around negative attitude, I'm not saying you're just going to be like, oh, I need to hang around negative people, but if you have a negative attitude and you find someone else with a negative attitude, chances are you might hang out with them, right? And then, like, literally, guys can just like sit there and bitch about things, and you know what, sometimes you need to do that. That's like stress relief, man. Like, you need to get into a car and just start like kicking snowballs or something, right? And you're just like, fucking Jesus. And then sometimes that just helps, right? It just relieves everything. But then, of course, in other situations, right, that, you know, actually I thought that was like a scarecrow over there, not gonna lie, it's actually a guy standing there. But in other times, you're not doing yourself any favors. So I think at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here, folks, is keeping a positive attitude on things is definitely going to help you in the long run. And, you know, overall, people are just going to like you more, right? Like, they're going to see that. They're going to see, like, this person's positive. And I know sometimes you get, like, weighed down. Like, I don't always have the most positive attitude. But, like, for some reason, people just seem to think I always do, right? They're always like, fuck, he's always happy. Well, I was like, dude, like, now look at me. You know, it's like 50-50, right? There are times when I'm like this and I'm having a good time, and then there's other times I'm going to school and I'm like, dude, like, I show up, I waste my time, I'm paying my money, I waste my money, and then, you know, I feel like I have every reason in the book to not be so happy. But I have to keep trying, and it's something I'm doing on my own end, is I'm actually going to try to improve it on myself, because I have noticed that I'm not always the most cheerful, especially lately. When I'm coming in, sometimes I'm giving a little sass, getting a little attitude. Gotta watch it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Let me know what you thought of the video. Comment down below. I do appreciate it. And if you ever have a topic idea, let me know. Absolutely. Like, give me a list. Just shoot it in the comments. And I'll take that into consideration. I pretty much talk about anything anybody suggests. I've had a few, so that's actually pretty cool. But if you ever want to throw something out there, like, you don't want to hear his thoughts on this, chuck it in there, and I'll be sure to do it within probably like a few days. So, thank you so much for watching. Peace.